I'd like to introduce Emily. She is go ahead and introduce yourself. I'll let you do the talking.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Emily Jones. I am a park ranger at John H. Kerr Dam and Reservoir for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. As Steve Turtle said, and I have to thank him for letting me come and talk to you guys. As he said, John H. Kerr Dam and Reservoir is a pretty big lake, about 50,000 acres, right on the state line of North Carolina and Virginia. So we have parks and campgrounds on both sides of the state line.
And it's a very big lake.
It is large.
Was like 50,000 acres or something?
Yeah, it's 50,000 acres, and we have many more acres on shoreline and wildlife management areas and all that kind of stuff. So it's a pretty big spot.
So what do you do there? What is your job? What do you do?
Yeah, so one of my really big important job duties, which is what I'm here to talk about today, is that I am the volunteer coordinator right now for our project. And so I work with all of our volunteers that are in the area that do different projects with us, and volunteers that come and stay with us for, several months, up to, really 10 months, 12 months, and live on site and do a lot of different projects for us. So, and I have to say, we would not be able to do much of any of the work that we're able to do without our volunteers. Their hard work and all the variety of skill sets that they bring, everything from carpentry to maintenance experience to graphic design to being a teacher and doing education programs with us. I mean, they help keep our parks running. They help keep our parks looking good, and they help keep our recreators in the summer, especially, really happy and safe as well. So volunteers for us are a huge part of what we do, and we really appreciate them. So
yeah. So when someone volunteers, what do they get as far as compensations? What's their?
Yeah. So volunteers work 24 hours a week, and that's really 24 hours a week for your campsite. And so that's a full hookup campsite. So, sewage, electric, the whole 9 yards there, water. And that's your compensation more or less. Obviously you have access to the lake and, different opportunities there. And as well, if you volunteer with us or with any U.S. Army Corps of Engineer project for a long enough time, reaching a certain number of hours, we actually do give, free passes and that sort of thing to our volunteers who work with us for several hundred hours. So yeah.
It's an awesome lake. It's huge. I'm sure during the summer there's a lot of boating going on and all that. The site that she is speaking of, our site was awesome. I mean, it was a big padded site. It was edged with landscaping timbers, barbecue pit, what do they call it, lantern pole, and a view of the lake. And it was pretty awesome. And all the volunteers in the volunteer village, have a similar site, right?
Yes, all the volunteers we have. Yeah, and we have volunteers, especially over the summer, over our kind of peak season, April through October, who actually stay at multiple different campgrounds, because we do have 4 different campgrounds. And, almost all of those sites are paved and have, every one of them's got the lantern post and the grill and the picnic table and all that kind of stuff, and the full hookup. So yeah, they all have that kind of lake view and everything, the nice scenery there. Yeah.
So when I was there, we were doing like off-season projects, more or less, because a lot of the campground was closed down. Do you have volunteer positions during the regular summer season?
Yes, so we have volunteer positions all year round, and the best way to find out really what's available or what we're looking for is A, looking at something like Workamper, or B, calling me or the office, because that's and my phone number is going below, so you can write it down there. But that's really the best way to know kind of what's going on. In the summer, we have volunteers from doing everything from a couple of maintenance volunteers to being in our day use area gatehouses and helping, our customers, our recreators that come, the campers and the people, coming to use the day use area. And then we have we have volunteers even help us with water safety education on the weekends and on the beaches and all that kind of stuff. We even have volunteers that come and help with interpretive programs or educational programs, and those occur in the campgrounds with school groups, So really in the summer, we've got volunteers doing a lot of different things. And then in the winter and the off season, it's more maintenance focused, a couple of volunteers for our winter camping. But again, really the best way to figure, if you're interested, want to know more, just give me a call, because that's one of the best ways really to figure out what's going on. And I do have to put a plug, because I did not say it just a couple minutes ago, is that we do have a volunteer house as well. And so if you are a work camper that doesn't have a camper, but you still want to be a volunteer somewhere, we do have a house actually as well that that only volunteers can stay in. And so we do have a house with multiple bedrooms, the kitchen, the whole kind of 9 yards there, for folks to be in as well.
And is there a possibility that a single work camper could find some work there?
Absolutely, yeah. We're happy to have couples. We're happy to have single folks. Partners, pairs, people just living together. Anything works. Anything works for us.
Yeah. Now, when we were there was a young lady doing something with what was she doing? Like Facebook or something? What was?
Yes. Tracy, she was helping us with graphic design marketing materials. So she was actually helping design some brochures for us for some of our hiking trails nearby and the disc golf course that we have at North Bend. So literally any skill set we're happy to have, pretty much, So.
Yeah. And now the day use areas, when the volunteers work during the summer season, what kind of hours and how many days do they work? How does that work out?
Yeah, so we're pretty flexible when it comes to volunteers who are doing that kind of work. If you volunteer with us in a gatehouse, like working in one of the gatehouses, that's going to be a much more set schedule, generally 3 or 4 days a week for X number of hours, 24 hours a week. But for the folks who are helping me with interpretive programs and water safety, that time kind of fluctuates, because they'll help me with some programming aspects, but then they'll also be out in the campgrounds, especially on weekends, because that's when people are really coming to, use those swim beaches and everything. And so doing a lot of educational programs then sometimes in the evenings as well, because that's when campers are, at their camper and not out on the lake. And so it kind of varies for folks who are doing something that's a little bit more fluid like that. So for those folks, it's still 24 hours a week, but those hours are not necessarily going to look the same every week, I would say. And for folks doing, maintenance with us, it's kind of tricky, because a lot of what we do is weather dependent, because most of it's outside. And so, as you know, so if the weather's really bad, or we've got snow in the winter, or, huge thunderstorms coming through in August, it's going to kind of affect what we're able to do sometimes. But we make up those hours if we need to, and we get all of our work done, so it's all good.
Yes. Well, from my perspective, it was very good working for you during the time that we were there. I had a good time. I thought you were a great boss, so I enjoyed it. Now, do you have camp host positions during the summertime?
Yes, we do. We have contract gate attendants, and so those gate attendants, we have 4 campgrounds, and those gate attendants under contract are manning the campground gatehouses. So not our day use area gatehouses, but our campground gatehouses. So those folks are checking in campers and checking out campers and answering lots of phone calls from campers and potential campers. So those folks are contracted. And one of my coworkers, he manages the kind of gate attendant contract side of things. And so we can share his phone number and extension as well. Those contractors generally have to be a pair, just because it's generally quite a lot of work. And so it works better if you've got 2 people in the gatehouse at once. So that's one thing. And then those contract positions are 4 days on and 4 days off. And so you work 4 days pretty much almost all day in 3 of those campgrounds, and then you get 4 days off. we do have one very large campground, North Bend, which is where you guys were.
Yes.
And those gate attendant contracts look a little bit different because we have to have more gate attendants there just because the park is so much bigger.
Right.
But generally generally it's 4 days on, 4 days off. You're working pretty much most of the day. And generally we look for pairs, because you want somebody checking in a camper, but also answering the phone and dealing with somebody walking up, and that's a lot of moving parts. And so it's easier with more than one person in the gatehouse.
Yeah, yes, I can understand. I was talking to one of the gate attendants when I was there, and I think it was Barbara. Barbara, and she was saying it gets really crazy at times.
It really can, especially on holiday weekends.
Sure, I can imagine.
Especially on holiday weekends when, we're pretty full all the time at every single campground that we have during the summer, but on holiday weekends too, it can be really busy and also exciting. So if you like kind of fast-paced, a bit more fast-paced, contracting is definitely a really great thing to be involved in. And we do have 4 different campgrounds of 4 different sizes. And so, if you're looking to be a paid contractor, but you want a bit of a slower pace, one of our smaller campgrounds could be a better fit than per se North Bend, which can be very, very, very busy. So, but a lot of fun.
Yes. Now, have you covered all the points that you wanted to make? Have you?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. I think so.
Now,
I think
now
I hit everything.
Tell me about your dream of a volunteer village. You want to talk about that?
Yes, I do.
Okay, go ahead.
Our office is in a really nice place of talking about actually really constructing a real volunteer village with, maybe access to laundry and other amenities, and having a lot of volunteers be able to stay, in a bit more of a community style kind of spot. And so we are really looking into that quite a lot. And I get a lot of phone calls from people interested in volunteering, and sometimes I have to turn people down because I don't have room for them because all of our volunteer sites are full, even though we have plenty of work, so we are in the throes of talking about, hopefully at some point, in the not too distant future, really being able to actually construct a real volunteer village. That would be awesome, I think, for our volunteers, more of an incentive for people to even come. So hopefully that's coming, not too far down the pipe a little bit, but I'm dreams for sure.
Yeah, well, you gotta have dreams to get there. So that's right.
Yeah.
So, would you like to share a memorable moment for the year that for the time that you've been there? Have you got one? Exciting, crazy?
Exciting, crazy. I can say I do have one very specific memorable moment. It's the first thing that popped into my head. Okay. So, over the summer, and the volunteers were a part of this, over the summer, things can be a little crazy. And we got in North Bend, especially, just so people know, if you've never been here, haven't ever looked us up, North Bend has about 250 campsites. So it's a fairly large campground, pretty big space too, physically. And we as rangers do have to respond to different emergencies when they happen. And this was in the middle of the summer, and we had a very nice woman, and she hurt her leg. And, me and one of my fellow rangers went down there, and we helped her out, and 911 was called, and the ambulance came, and then they decided she needed to be evacuated via helicopter. And so, you go to work one Friday, you're doing some fairly, it seems like somewhat menial tasks. I think I was entering data on the computer for something, and then all of a sudden we have to land a helicopter in North Bend, which was wild for us. And we were this was not something we thought about we were going to have to do that day. Yeah. But our gate attendants and volunteers were obviously super important in that day as well. They were stopping traffic, keeping people, more or less away from the fray of everything that was going on. And it was, you never know what can happen. And honestly, our volunteers and gate attendants, they help us with so much over the summer. So, mitigate a lot of different issues and everything. So that was a crazy day. It was, not at all what we were expecting. And first time we've had to land a helicopter in the campground. So that was an interesting experience.
I bet it was.
It was
a memorable moment. Yeah.
It was memorable, that's for sure.
Is your cat still around?
She's not around. She actually left me. I think she went to go.
She was going to introduce her cat. Her cat's named Sammy. And she's 17?
17 years old.
17 years old. Wow. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so is that about it?
That's all my points. So if anyone has questions, I'm happy to answer.
I was watching the chat a little bit, and I thought I'd get some good questions, but I got a lot of banter. That's all it was.
That's okay.
Somebody apologized for you having to work with me.
That is y'all were such hard workers. You really went after it and accomplished everything. So
yeah, we had a good time. We did our best. And then somebody wanted to know why you fired me.
Actually, it's no one was fired. I was very sad to see them leave. Yeah. very sad.
And then somebody said that they would like to volunteer to supervise me volunteering.
That would, hey, we got a lot of volunteers a lot of the time, so happy to have help.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So we had quite a few people over there having a good time while we're trying to talk.
Good. That's all that matters.
Yes. I really do appreciate you coming by and talking about the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and the opportunities there at North Bend. I wish you well for the season, and I understand you have all your positions filled for right now.
As of right now for the summer, as of right now for the summer, every spot is full. So
okay. Well, don't forget that if you have a shortfall or something and you need some help, just reach out to me. I'll shout it out to all these yahoos over here in the chat, and maybe awesome. Maybe we can get your positions filled.
Sounds good. Thank you guys for having me.
All right, thank you very much. We'll talk to you later.
Bye,
Emily. Oh my goodness, that was an awesome interview. She's a great person. She's doing a really good job down there. She's got a lot of plans, and she's going to start up her interpretive program come this summer. So it's really awesome. Like I said, I got it scrolling across here. I'm going to take it off now. You have to go back and look at it later. But you can reach her at that number. That's the preferred way to contact her. And I'll put a link to the contract position to the guy to call down in the description. I didn't do that yet, but I'll get it down there. So if you want to swing back by later and look at the live stream, you can get that information if you're interested in contract positions. But for right now, they're all filled, but then there's always next year and there's the off season. So it's always changing, always things going on. And that was a really, really good interview.